Alright, so here's this week's weekly Witch Queen campaign mission. It's the ritual, so time to kill Savathun. Modifiers, we got Famine on, not a big deal. I'm running Ammo Finder and Scav, Unstoppables, and Barriers. And as you can see, once again, I'm using Quicksilver Storm. This is quickly becoming my favorite assault rifle, at least exotic-wise. I'm using storm grenades. Last video, I was using pulse grenades for the Disgraced, but there's wizards, there's Savathun. The main reason I wanted storm grenades is because of Savathun and her projections. She's kind of all over the place, so I'm not going to be able to stick her with a pulse grenade. She'll just fly out of it. There's also lots of Lightbearers, so you need to kind of duck in for cover, which can sometimes make it hard to stay out in the open, line up your aim, and stick them with a pulse grenade, and they're dodgy as well. So storm grenades, just a good choice for this mission. And I wanted to do this on Striker Titan, obviously, so I am using Lubrae's Ruin again as well, and part of me wanted to, didn't want to use it for this video because it's not leveled up, but I don't have the perks on it. It's not masterwork, no enhanced perks, not even perks that I want. But still, just the fact that it has the utility of a glaive and it's solar, so it was going to be taking out all the wizards' solar shields for me. Which, if you know, as far as the boss fight goes, there's 3 sets of wizards for each damage phase, and you can take 2-3 phases in order to do enough damage to Savathun to kill her. So it was pretty important that I had something to take out the solar shields quickly. And of course, there's 2 solar wizards here as well. But so this first encounter here is when you first pull up, you'll notice there's a whole bunch of Scorn. If you throw a grenade on them, for whatever reason, the grenade won't register. Like, you just gotta let the AI is like telling the enemies to go up in a group up to this battle up here. So for whatever reason, it won't register grenade damage or kill them. So you can kill them with like a glaive or a weapon, I suppose, but you just kind of have to let the Scorn go up to the battlefield, and then you will just start spamming storm grenades. There was that one barrier to take care of, the one Lightbearer, and a bunch of shielded knights and 2 wizards. Some void shields here. These are the only void shields. It's only Scorn too, I just noticed. Whatever missions, for the Witch Queen missions have Scorn in them, that's when you deal with the void shields. So Ikora comes in, kills the ogre. She'll open up this door for you. And then you make your way through here up to, which is essentially the start of the Wellspring. I don't know if it's attack or defend where you start here, but yeah, this is the Wellspring section. So there's 2 Unstoppables here, and I try not to make myself visible to both of them. And I keep distance here because I didn't want to use any unstoppable weapon because I wanted to use a glaive. So I mean, it would have been nice if we still had unstoppable glaives like the last 2 seasons, but we don't. So I could have used a shotgun or a pulse grenade, but I don't like it too much when you're dealing with two champions that require like the same basic weapon. So like to take out barriers, you know, I'm using an assault rifle. So why would I want to use a pulse grenade on top of that for unstoppables? It's like I got two weapons that are doing the same thing. And they're both effective at range, and neither of them are that effective at close range. So I'm limiting my capabilities of the build overall by using, like, it's almost like using two assault rifles. Like, why would I want to do that? Yeah, I could have used a shotgun. That would have worked. And actually, I did try for one brief round to use a shotgun, and I was comboing it with seismic strike, 1-2 punch. So it was a good way for taking out unstoppables. But there's only a few unstoppables in this whole mission, and I really wanted to use the glaive, because if I wasn't using the glaive, I would have used towering barricade, and it would have kind of slowed my gameplay loop down substantially. And similarly to the light blade, the boss room with Savathun, you're doing circles, right? Like, you got to keep moving. So you don't really, it's not the type of fight where you want to be stationary, putting up a barricade, doing damage. Like, you just have to keep moving. That's how the mission, or at least the boss fight, is designed. So having a glaive with a shield is, you know, it's essentially a mobile barricade. If I really need to take cover while I'm moving, I can just pull my glaive up, put the shield up, and absorb some damage that way. But either way, so here's this unstoppable, and he unexpectedly decided to charge. Most of the time, if you stay far enough back, both the unstoppables will just stay at the back of the map, and you can just constantly spam storm grenades. But if one does decide to charge you, and hopefully not two, because that would be a nightmare, you could just kind of play ring around the rosy. And I'm getting better with the grenade launcher on Quicksilver Storm. So one is knowing when your grenades are prepped, right? Because it's not always practical to be looking at your buffs and debuffs on the left side of your screen. So, and there's only for whatever reason, the interface only allows there to be 4 modifiers up at one time. So half the time, like, if you got 4 there, you don't know what other buffs and debuffs are going on. So it won't always show when you have grenades prepped. But you can actually see it on the weapon too. That little yellow flap. I mean, the field of view does limit seeing it, but you'll see, like, it'll count 1, 2, 3. That's, so you can see right now it says 3, but you kind of have to squint and look. Like, it's not comfortable to pick that out and be like, oh, grenades are prepped. But while you're shooting, you can hear when the grenades are prepping. It's kind of like a tick noise, which you have to differentiate from the rockets shooting out. But yeah, as I'm using this weapon a lot more, I'm kind of getting the intuitive feel for when the grenades are prepped, and when to load them and use them. And I think I've figured out the quick reloads that you see people getting off with the grenades is once you hold down, so square in my case, because I'm using a PS5 controller. So once grenades are prepped, hold down square. We'll switch over to the grenade launcher. When you shoot one, it'll automatically reload for the second grenade, but it's kind of a slow reload. So right after you shoot the first grenade, you could just tap square to reload. Don't hold square, because then it'll switch it back over to automatic fire mode. But if you just tap square to reload your grenade, it'll reload much faster. So that's what I've been doing now that I've kind of learned that through trial and error, basically. But this is it's a pretty long mission. It's almost an hour, so I'm not I'll kind of talk about things as they come up. But for this section here, basically, once you take out the wizard, 3 symbols will appear above the portal, and then you've got to go into this section here of the temple, and you have to destroy 3 crystals to open up various portals. So there's just going to be 3 different rooms that you go to, 3 crystals to shoot. Once you clear out all the ads, you can shoot a crystal, go to the next room, kill the ads, shoot the crystal. There's going to be a couple barrier knights as well, the odd unstoppable, and some arc shielded knights, and some wizards, and there's going to be some shriekers. But yeah, so once you take out 1 crystal, it'll reveal 1 symbol basically above these portals. But you can see the portals aren't open yet because I still have to destroy 2 more crystals. Then all the portals will open and all 3 symbols will be visible. So the goal here is to remember the symbols that first spawned in the original portal above that door after you kill that first wizard, because you have to go through the same portal. And actually, I think I screwed up because it was 3. Like, if you're lucky, you'll just get like 3 of the same symbols, and it's super easy to remember. Some symbols are easier to remember than others. Part of that is because a lot of the symbols look very similar. They don't have names. Like, you kind of have to make like a visual memory aid to know which one's which. You could grab a pencil or paper while you're doing this mission and just jot it down real quick, but I didn't do that. I was kind of just repeating in my head over and over, like the 3 symbols. But yeah, you're gonna have 2 sections to do like this, and then it'll open up after each section. Once you go through the right portal that matches the original portal, it'll bring you up to an orb that you gotta grab, and then you gotta go dunk it down in the kind of in the main chamber near the altar where the Lightbearer mini boss is. So yeah, this is where, so when I did my run with a shotgun instead of a glaive, I was using a solar shotgun, and that was my only solar weapon, so there was no way I was taking those wizards out. So yeah, it was pretty much a failed run because of that one little inefficiency. So I went back to a glaive. And then if you could just take those wizards' shield off quickly with the glaive, switch to Stormchaser or whatever heavy you're using, and take them out pretty quick. But you see, I don't really rush in here because in transition between each one of these rooms, there's a shrieker. And if you're lucky, you can land a storm grenade on it, and it'll take care of it. Otherwise, you just gotta kind of sit back and wait for it to stop shooting. It'll close up, and you can go peek it around the corner, and as soon as it opens up, you got like 2 seconds where you could do damage to it, and then it'll start blasting you again. So my aim was off again there with the storm grenade, but still did some damage, enough to do 1 shot with Stormchaser. Now, as far as the mods, you can go back and pause at the beginning of the video. I'm using high energy fire for damage bonus. I'm getting wells from elemental ordnance, so any grenade kills are going to spawn an arc elemental well, which when I pick that up gives me 2 stacks of charged with light, which gives me a nice little 20% damage bonus per stack. per enemy killed. So no, you don't stack the damage, but you stack the number of enemies you can kill before your high energy fire wears out. So now I'm just looking for the symbols for the doors. The other mods I'm using, I went with Striking Light, similar to Lightblade, for the same reasons. I had done a number of runs without Striking Light, and I was kind of, when I would get in a hairy situation where I was like critical on health, I died. So I thought, well, I'll just put on Striking Light because it would be good for the boss room too. Because like with the Lightblade, you're constantly moving, going around in circles, you're not staying still too often. So Striking Light gives you, when you're charged with light, you get damage resistance. And it's definitely noticeable that it saved me a couple of times. Yeah, I got, and my glaive helped as well. But yeah, the pre-boss room, when you fight kind of the projection of Savathun, and then she spawns 2 unstoppables, and then 3 Lightbearers. There'll be a wizard, an acolyte, and a knight. And I think they got me like at 1 HP, and I just kept sprinting, kept praying, and I managed to survive despite them blasting me while I was sprinting, and I'm pretty positive that's because Striking Light gave me that damage resistance that I needed. Same thing on the in the actual boss fight. There's an unstoppable. My first or second run, because I haven't done this solo on Master. I've only done it on Legend, but on Master there's more champions. On Legend there's champions obviously, but you'll notice on Legend that there's often like some ultras. So like instead of an unstoppable ogre, it might just be like an ultra ogre. The same thing goes for the boss fight. When you kill the 3 projections of Savathun and then try to go through the portal, surprise, there's an unstoppable ogre down there waiting by the portal. And if you're ill-equipped for unstoppables like me, yeah, so that killed me because I didn't know there was an unstoppable. So that was a bummer because it took like 35 minutes to get to that point, or 45 minutes, and then run into an unstoppable that I didn't know spawned there. So finally, when I beat this, as I did here, I was aware of the unstoppable. Although he still caught me off guard. You'll see when it gets there. But I kept looking for him down by the portal, and he wasn't there. And then all of a sudden, he's rushing at me up on, like I was on high ground, up on the kind of the parapet around the outside perimeter. Yeah, the unstoppable just decided to rush me, so I had to kind of run. But fortunately, I already killed all the other enemies and the wizards, or the projections. Yeah, I think I had killed 2 projections and I left 1 up. And so basically, the unstoppable is isolated by himself, which made it easy for me to run and play Ring Around the Rosie with him, so that I didn't have to take damage and just kept spamming storm grenades on him. So you gotta watch out for, this is probably the most surprising spawn out of these crystal rooms. As soon as you break that crystal, those acolytes spawn right there. So it's good to have like a storm grenade ready just in case, but they're not too big of a deal. There's like 1 yellow bar. I love how these guys just bunch up right here. I don't push through this archway because there's a shrieker on the right. So, and if I think that my doorway that I'm going to be going through is in like the room that I'm in now or the previous room, I don't even worry too much about pushing into this room here, because my storm grenades can take care of everything, and then I can shoot the crystal from far. And then go back to the room where the portal is. And that's just judging based off of like, I try to take note every time the symbols spawn above the portals, like if that door is a possibility or not. So I don't remember which symbols I'm looking for here, because I'm commentating after the fact. But I would have noticed, and I think that was actually the right door, but I screwed up here. I think this is the run where I screwed up. I got the first, yeah, I got one of the first ones right, but I was struggling to remember on one of these, and I went through the wrong door like twice, so that cost me a few minutes on this run. So I mean, this run could have been done quite a bit faster if A, I'd remembered which portal I'm supposed to go through, and B, if I had something to stun Unstoppables and deal quicker DPS to them. But I was kind of making that, at least as far as the Unstoppables go, I was trading off time to complete the mission for utility, which, like I said, was the glaive. I wanted to use a glaive. And I haven't been having very much fun doing low-end content this season. I didn't mind doing Season of the Haunted. So there you go. So that, like I was calling that Upside Down A Snowflake Lions. And then I think I screwed up again. But yeah, what I was saying about the glaive, I haven't been enjoying doing low-end content this season. And like the last couple seasons, the low-end content was actually my way of leveling up my crafted weapons, you know, extracting red border, extracting the deep sight resources, just go in and do some mindless activities like Vanguard Ops, or last season was Nightmare Containment, and just patrolling the Derelict Leviathan, which I thought was a great seasonal activity, just having a patrol zone where you don't have to worry about load times and looking for group or champion mods. You can just go into the patrol zone and literally just farm enemies. You can do the public event, the Nightmare Containment. There's hundreds of enemies. You can patrol the royal pools or the pleasure gardens, and there's just enemies constantly spawning. And like mini bosses as well, the nightmares. So it was, yeah, you can go and just spend an hour there farming or leveling up your weapons. This season there's nothing to do that. Yeah, I could go and do Nightmare Containment, but it's not really giving me anything. It's not giving me the weapons I need to craft like it was last season with all the haunted and opulent weapons. So literally the only reason I would have to do Nightmare Containment is to level up my weapons. But it wasn't giving me anything else, so I wasn't very inspired to do them this season. So that's kind of why I'm just sucking it up and using this unleveled glaive to do this solo flawless run, even though it's not ideal. But it actually, doing higher end content to level up your weapons, I believe gives them more levels. I could be wrong about that, but you'll notice whenever you complete certain activities, you get a chunk of progression on your level. Like Vanguard Ops is pretty good for that. Like you can take 3 red border weapons in, and without even using one of them, you'll get like 50% completion on extracting the deep sight just from completing one strike. Might not be that dramatic, but yeah, either way, just completion counts towards progression. It's not just enemy kills. And I believe the same thing works for leveling up your crafted weapons. So with this glaive, I've taken this from level 1 to, I think I'm at level 9 now, just by doing like 10 Grandmasters yesterday, or over the last few days, because the Disgraced is a really fairly easy Grandmaster to farm, especially with a team where everybody knows what they're doing. You know, you can complete it in 15 minutes, whatever. So I was doing that with Lubrae's Ruin. Yeah, so, and it worked out for the Grandmaster, so I figured, well, why not just do it for my solo flawless run on the ritual too, even though it's a much longer mission and arguably harder to go flawless on. But like I said, that just kind of goes to show you how good weapons are even without the perks or the levels. Like, just a basic glaive is a good weapon. Doesn't matter what perks are on it. Like the fact that it's solar energy, so it's taking care of shields. The fact that I can charge it up with energy and pull up a shield that blocks the majority of incoming damage. I mean, that's amazing. Like, perks are just perks. They're bonuses. Basically what a perk means. They're not necessary by any means. But I am excited to get the perks I want on it. I think it'll probably end up going with Grave Robber, because that's one of the available perks on Lubrae's. And then you know, Unstoppable Force is a tier 2 perk that you can get on it, which is an amazing perk. That's what I've got on the Arc Glaive and the Void Glaive. So anytime you block damage with your shield, your next shot will be deals additional damage, and it has like more projectile speed or something like that. So it's a very good damage perk to have on a glaive. So yeah, I'm thinking I might do Grave Robber, because that's pretty cool. Like, the melee, basically what it does is it reloads your glaive every time you get a melee kill, and glaives are super easy to get melee kills with. So you could just fire off all your shots and then just hit an enemy and it's reloaded. Kind of similar to my Nezrek's Whisper, which I have Demolitionist on. I mean, Demolitionist is probably a little bit better because it gives you grenade energy for every kill, but also, like, you can fire off your entire magazine and then just throw a grenade and it'll reload your glaive automatically. So I do like that, because glaives are slow to reload. I mean, you could spec into with your build on your glaive, you can spec into reload speed and that kind of stuff.
I'm so glad.
Or you could just pick a perk that totally mitigates any reload whatsoever. So here I throw a storm grenade down first, and then I wait to see the numbers do damage to her so that I can super. Because you'll see, like, she was immune there for a few seconds, so you don't want to like waste heavy ammo or super, you know, when she's immune, obviously. So I just throw a storm grenade down, wait for those damage numbers to show up, and then go in with the heavy or the super. So there's going to be an unstoppable here on the left. Basically, after you do a certain amount of damage to Savathun's projection, one unstoppable spawns on the left, and then you do some more damage to Savathun, and then an unstoppable ogre will spawn on the right. And I actually didn't know this if it wasn't for me paying attention to the queue on the text on the left side of the screen, where it'll say like a champion has appeared or a Lightbearer casts their super or whatever. Because I was in the habit of just playing this room. Because this is actually a pretty hard encounter. Like if you don't have a good spot to stay safe, it's very easy to die here. Champions, Lightbearers, Savathun, and she does her full array of attacks just like in the final boss fight. Like she'll do a Nova Bomb, which can pull you in and do void damage. I'm not rocking any void damage resistance. It's just pure arc. Mainly because I needed to use an arc resistance mod in order to activate Striking Light. Because my Heart of Inmost Light chest piece is arc energy. It was my only arc energy piece of armor. So it was the only piece that I could put Striking Light on. And in order to get the secondary benefit of Striking Light, which is damage resistance while sprinting, you need to have one other arc specific mod equipped. And the seasonal artifact mods do not count, even though it was arc and solar resist for the thermoshock plating one. It wasn't counting, it wasn't giving me the secondary benefit of Striking Light. So I swapped out the thermoshock plating, the seasonal one, and I just put on double arc resist, which is pretty good because Savathun, I feel like she does more arc than anything else. She'll do like her blade barrage, which can be super deadly. You just got to make sure that you're behind cover. And then the Nova Bomb is not too big of a deal because you can usually see it coming and you have plenty of time to react and make sure that you're not within the radius of her bomb and you'll be fine. But her arc attack is pretty deadly and she spams it all over the place, so it can be kind of hard to avoid it. So you see, once I took out the first unstoppable, I went to the other side to take out that second unstoppable. And if I hadn't known that that unstoppable spawned there, I would have just stayed in this room here and continued to damage Savathun until she goes immune, basically, and she'll spawn the Lightbearers. But what happens then is that other unstoppable just disappears. So like you could do this whole encounter without knowing there was an unstoppable on the right side. That could affect your platinum rank if you accidentally despawn it. So I made sure to go over to that other side, take care of the unstoppable, then I come back here. Just because this left room is the one I'm most used to using. As long as you don't go out and expose yourself to all three of the Lightbearers at once, you'll generally be fine in this room. Once you expose yourself to one of them, then they'll get it. You're basically aggroing them. So like the wizard, she'll actually come into this room, which is pretty dangerous. So that you can see, that's why it pops super there. So like, oh no, that's the last thing I need is for her to come in here and push me out where there's a bunch of ads and the other Lightbearer Knight, which throws his one-shot suppressor grenades, or at least on Grandmaster. He'll get you like critical on Master if you're at level. So you can take one suppressor grenade, I think. Maybe if it's a direct hit, it's a one-shot kill, I'm not too sure. But if he hits you with like a grenade, or if you're weak at all and he hits you with his shield toss, like you're dead. So the last thing I needed was to be surrounded by the Lightbearer Wizard and the Void Knight.
Fight, run, fight, run.
So
Pattern is always the same.
it's a good thing to take note there. Maybe hold on to your super specifically. Like you can use it right at the beginning and then you'll have it back for the phase with all the Lightbearers. But yeah, I would say that that wizard is the most threatening of all of them. The Solar Acolyte Lightbearer is also very dangerous. I think I'm paused here because I actually had to go pee really bad. And I thought Savathun was going to be talking a lot longer. But, yeah. The Solar Acolyte, he'll toss his Blade Barrage, which is super deadly. Like if all 5 blades hit you, you're done. But he throws it like this, kind of like this Outbreak perfected nanonite cluster type grenade that he throws at you. You know, it'll look like 5 fireflies just sitting in the air around you, and they're making this buzzing sound, and then all of a sudden they like attach to you and detonate and you're dead. So they're very dangerous as well. The only other mission I think where there's those Solar Acolytes is in the Ghosts. There's 2 of them in like that first encounter. But Savathun has got the power of all the Lightbearers. And Alakul the Lightblade, minus the big axe and melee attack. But she'll spam you with Arc. She'll spam you with Lightning Strikes, Nova Bomb, and Blade Barrage. So the glaive will pretty much hold its weight against all of her attacks, but I was most leery of the Blade Barrage. I wasn't sure if that was going to hold up. So I just try to make sure that I'm always behind cover when she's launching that Blade Barrage attack. And if you pay attention to the audio cues, you'll know. This barrier just spawns out of nowhere. Like, he'll surprise you. I always go left to right, clockwise. That's just how I do it for this boss fight. Doing things repeatedly, you know, however you're comfortable doing it. If you could do it in repetition, I believe it's a good way to increase your efficiency. You know where the spawns are, you know what abilities you're going to have for when. Just a good, consistent way of doing things. But yeah, so there's 2 barrier knights that spawn here. There's that first one that you notice spawn right beside me, and then there's this one that spawns on the other side. And these 3 projections of Savathun they're pretty weak. You can take away at them with primary, or you notice I hardly ever use Stormchaser. Main reason is because I wanted to make sure I had enough linear for the actual final boss DPS phase. And Famine is one of the modifiers. See here, I'm looking for the Unstoppable, because as soon as you kill that last projection of Savathun, you go and pick up kind of like this essence, and then it opens the portal and you can go through the portal. And I didn't want to kill her outright because I wasn't sure if it was on a timer, like if I'd killed her and then didn't pick up the essence, like if it would respawn her. So I just waited, and then yeah, that Unstoppable just decided. I was not expecting him at all to push up. I was like I said, I was looking for him down at the bottom near that portal, because that's where he'd killed me previously, when I didn't know that he even existed in this encounter. But yeah, Unstoppables are well, I guess they're really the only champion you can take out efficiently enough without a mod, because you see this guy's not the smartest. Doesn't know how to jump up onto that middle platform and take me out. He's just chasing me in circles, so it's kind of funny. And I'm using for my mods to get my storm grenades back. Oh yeah, okay. So I actually, yeah, he's dumb, but apparently I'm pretty dumb too because I should have registered like what his health was at before I had done that seismic strike on him. I figured he was low enough, but I was wrong. So so I go to freaking kick him, and he's still like has a lot of HP left. He wasn't even finishable. I thought worst case scenario would be like one seismic strike and then I could just finish him. But no, he almost killed me. I was like 1 HP there. And the glaive and maybe striking light saved me. I'm not sure if I was charged with light there or not. But yeah, the glaive saved the day from my stupidity. So here's that portal. And then you're
Is a spell.
gonna go in, and so this room kind of mimics how the boss phase works. It's kind of like an intro, like, oh, this is what you got to do. You got to kill 3 solar shielded wizards. They are I think they're called Threadweavers. So you're cutting the thread, and then you'll see that buff on the left side of the screen where it says Thread Cutter. That'll stack up to 3. So, second wizard's down. Now I got Thread Cutter times 2. Now the reason that's important to know is because Thread Cutter is your damage window for Savathun. You can damage Savathun without the Thread Cutter buff, but you do massively more damage if you have Thread Cutter times 3. So when I go back into the actual boss fight after revealing her memory here, I'm going to go counterclockwise around the boss room like I was last time. But instead of there being 3 projections of Savathun, there's going to be 3 groups of ads with a solar wizard. One on the left, one in the middle, one on the right.
What is this?
Once you kill that 3rd solar wizard, then you've got Thread Cutter times 3, and it'll be on a timer. Like, I don't know, I can't remember, we'll find out, but about 30 seconds, something like that. And you have to be inside of the kind of void barrier bubble that's like as large as the whole boss room, but it kind of floats like Savathun is the center of the bubble. So you have to be inside of her void bubble with Thread Cutter times 3 active in order to do the most amount of damage that you can. So yeah, you can try and take advantage of that. Obviously, you don't want this boss fight to go, because once Thread Cutter times 3 is done, then the wizards and all the ads respawn, and you got to take them out again. And it's typical to do this in 2-3 phases. But you obviously you want the encounter to be over as quick as possible if you're trying to do this solo without dying. I mean, as long as you're doing it safely, obviously. But the longer you're in the mission, and the longer your chances are for death. So here you can see I'm still saving ammo, just dodging for storm grenades. I don't remember if I think I got cut off by the unstoppable almost killing me, but I'm using bomber on my class item to get my grenades back faster. And you'll also notice in the beginning I'm using overload grenades, not because there's overload champions, but they'll overload, my grenades will overload any enemies, which means that they're going to do less damage to me when they're overloaded. And you can see they have like a little red haze above their head when they're overloaded. So it's definitely good to use when you're facing threatening enemies that can output a lot of damage. If you just get a grenade on them, you know that you're going to be taking less damage from them. But yeah, this is a long boss fight with Savathun, so I have to do all this thread cutting again. reveal her memory again, and now this time with each wizard there's going to be a projection of Savathun. You got to kill her, go to the next portal, kill the wizard, kill the projection, go to the portal, kill the wizard, kill the projection, and then you go back to the boss room, and then it's the actual boss fight. Like you noticed last time, like there was a little health bar for like the top 10% of her health or whatever. So I was still on that last phase, I was still working on that top portion of damage on her. Once that's done, then she spins you back over into here to cut more threads. But this is the last time here, and then it'll be on to the actual boss fight, which is where I was saying you gotta take out the wizards and get in her bubble and do DPS. There's no more there's no more champions from this point out. So at least we got that. 45 minutes into this mission, and you can kind of rest easy knowing that there's no more surprise champions to deal with. But obviously, like I said, you're gonna have the 3 groups of enemies and wizards, and then obviously you still got Savathun to take down, who's gonna be trying to kill you. So you're not home free until you're home free. Rocket launcher would also be good to use, something like with tracking module, because Savathun is so dodgy. But other than that, like if you're not using tracking module on a rocket launcher, I wouldn't recommend a rocket launcher at all, because she just moves around too much. I mean, you'd have to get pretty close, and your timing would have to be perfect in order for you to land a rocket. But linear fusion rifle, you know, it's pretty much hit scan. Wherever you aim, that's where your bolts are going to go immediately after pulling the trigger. And ammo economy wise, like, it's just so much better. Like with a rocket launcher, even with field prep, like you only get like 9 rockets or something like that without extra reserves. With linear fusion rifle, you know, you got almost 20 shots or whatever. And you do need those shots to kill Savathun. So I'm trying to stack up on all my heavy and save it all for her specifically at the end.
Go on. You know so much.
Those grenade shots on Quicksilver Storm actually do a pretty good chunk of damage too. Now that I'm more efficient at using the grenades, I'm really starting to like them. But it's not about blast radius. They have like no blast radius, so you really do have to try and hit your target dead on. I mean, if you hit 3 grenades dead on, like that's like doing like heavy damage. Like look at that. 400. That's probably because of the modifiers for this boss specifically, but that was more damage than a single linear shot. I think my linear shot was like 200,000 damage, and 1 grenade was double that. So here's the first group of ads with the first wizard. And you got to be careful because Savathun, she's still trying to get you, even when you're up on this catwalk or the parapet, whatever, taking care of the wizards and ads. She'll be like, you'll hear her pull up her blade barrage every now and then. That's the one you got to watch out for the most. So just make sure that you got a piece of cover between you and her. Most of the time when you're circling around this area, you do have cover, but there are areas where you don't, so you do have to be vigilant of it. So now you can see I got thread cutter times 3. I don't know what the timer started at, maybe close to 40 seconds. And it is tempting. You see, because I wasn't inside of her bubble there, it didn't do any damage to her. It said immune. And this can be pretty annoying. Like, she'll go far away so you can't. She's forcing you to go to her, which is not good. So if you're gonna do that, you gotta be careful because, like I said, like the blade barrage, all of her attacks, frankly, like you want distance. So it is tempting because you know you have a limited time damage window to just like focus 100% on doing DPS to her. You really can't. You still have to pay attention because there's ads. Like when she forces you down onto low ground where she is, like there's a whole bunch of ads that are going to be shooting you down there. If you can manage to stay up on the platforms and do damage from there, you're isolating yourself from the ads down in the middle, and it's easier to focus 100% on Savathun. But yeah, it's annoying. Sometimes she'll pull you down over there, and that can kind of screw up your damage window. But ideally, you're just doing damage from like one of these pillars, just to the right of me right now. This pillar right here and the one to the right of me, those are the two best spots to do damage. But she was being really stubborn this time, so I kept having to go to her. See, they're there. So they have a flank on you while you're trying to do TPS. They can just outright kill you. See, her blade barrage almost killed me there as well. But yeah, so just be careful. Yeah, you've only got limited time to do damage, but if you put yourself out there in the open, her abilities will kill you pretty easily. So I think at this point, I might have been thinking, okay, next damage phase is my last. I'm not sure if the next one is my last damage phase on her, or if she was being stubborn again. See how the glaive just saved me there, and the grenade was overloading those enemies. Like they had that red cloud above their head, so they were doing less damage to me, and my glaive was up. But if I didn't have a glaive there, I probably would have been dead. Mind you, if I wasn't running a glaive for this mission, like I said, I probably would have ran barricade, but that's not really ideal either, because then your barricade's just in one spot, and you really don't want to be in one spot for too long. Alright, yeah, so a little over 40 seconds. Normally, I don't know what it was, like with my timing or my rotation, but every single damage phase, she was like pulling me down low. I've done this mission several times, and most of the time, I can do all the DPS I need to from those two pillars above without ever having to come down here. So I think, yeah, I got 5 seconds left. So this really, like, I should have been able to kill her. Oh my god, did you see that? Like the glaive right there again. Just absorbed 3 of her blades from Blade Barrage. But yeah, I should have been able to kill her there, but she pulled me down there. Not ideal. So I'm having to go for another tour of wizards and thread cutters, Threadweavers. Killing the Threadweaver wizards. And then finally be able to take Savathun down. But overall, this is like a really cool boss fight. I do enjoy it. It's a little bit tedious having to do such a long mission, especially when you're trying to do this like flawless, like me. Not that you have any real reason to, other than just to say you did it or to show people that you can do it. But yeah, like making it this far and then just scraping by death constantly in this fight. It does make it much more rewarding to finish. All around, just awesome campaign. So the Witch Queen was what got me into Destiny 2 in the first place. I played Destiny 1 a lot until I think the second expansion came out, and I felt it wasn't worth the value. Like the content wasn't there for a DLC. So it turned me off of Destiny for a while, but heard great things about Witch Queen and really got me back into the game.
Isn't this interesting? I miscalculated. So did you, Guardian.
If it wasn't my first time completing this, I would be disappointed about my character having to wear a Halloween mask.
Is coming. The game is yours to play now. Yours to win.
But yeah, I'll let you enjoy the cutscene. And I'll catch you in the next video. It'll be... I might try Disgrace solo on Grandmaster if I have time before reset. Done it enough times now where I'm comfortable doing it with, you know, two people. I could probably do it by myself, but I'm not sure. But next week is the Arrival for the Witch Queen, and I think it's Exodus Crash, which isn't my favorite strike, but yeah, awesome scenery here. Anyways, if you liked it, feel free to go ahead and like the video, subscribe if you want. I'm going to be trying to put out consistent content. Comments are always welcome. I do my best to check them all and respond. So that's that. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.
She's dead, but her ghost got away.
Good enough. Hold your position. The Hidden are coming to secure the remains. Good work, Guardian. You did the right thing.
Now what?
Now, we prepare for the Witness and stop the next collapse.